In the depths of Russian folklore, there's the tale of a young woman called Gosia, also known as Little Red amongst the locals for her small stature and signature red-hooded long coat. It was 1916, just after the First World War, and her ordinary life took a sudden dark turn. Stay till the end because you'll never guess the ending. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, don't forget to follow Mr Novella on Spotify, or subscribe on YouTube, leave a like, and click the bell icon to get notified as soon as a new novella gets released. Now, with that said, let's delve into the dark, twisted story of Little Red. In a small village nestled amidst the Russian countryside, not far from the mysterious town of Rostovsk, there lived a young girl called Gosia. With her fiery red hair and her habit of always wearing her red long coat when leaving her family home on errands, the villagers affectionately referred to her as Little Red, or Nemnogo Krasny in Russian. The year was 1919, just after the tumultuous upheaval of World War I and the Russian Revolution. Life in this post-war Russia was harsh, cold, and unpredictable, but Red's family, mother and father, managed to maintain a simple yet comforting existence despite the harsh conditions. Her father, Sergei, a stubborn old sheep farmer whose roots traced back through generations of resilient Russian farmers, tended to the sprawling green pastures. Her mother, Tatiana, a nurturing nursery school teacher, devoted her days to fostering the young Russian minds of the village, even during these turbulent times. Red's life was one of cherished simplicity, but little did she know that over the next few hours on that fateful day, her world was about to change. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, ominous shadows over the peaceful village, her father fell grievously ill. His weakened body demanded urgent attention, and Red knew precisely what was required: a trip to the neighboring village of Volgorest, a mere few hours away, to secure provisions. With resolute determination, she donned her worn red coat and set out on a mission to fetch supplies for her ailing papa. The storm, which had seemed to materialize out of nowhere, raged with a ferocity that sent chills down Red's spine. Dark, thunderous storm clouds gathered overhead, transforming day into an eerie twilight, as if the very heavens were conspiring against her. Thunder cracked like the roar of an angry god, and lightning tore through the sky, casting jagged veins of light through the sinister grey backdrop. The rain, heavy and relentless, completely soaked through her long coat and drenched all the way through. She gently shivered as her tiny hands clenched her lantern tightly. As she marched forward, the world was obscured by a wall of water that battered against her like an invisible foe. Her journey, initially straightforward, soon turned treacherous. As she reached a crossroads where the village of Ivanovka seemed to disappear into the distance, the beckoning call of the forbidding forest loomed ahead. The locals had spoken in hushed tones about the dreaded woods, the forbidden forest, where chilling tales of vanishing souls lingered in the air. Many people had entered the forbidden forest and were never seen again, like they had just disappeared into thin air. With the tempest intensifying and the path ahead shrouded in uncertainty, Little Red was faced with a choice to brave the unforgiving storm on the open road or use the forest-dense foliage as cover and as a shortcut back home through the foreboding woods. With each thunderclap and blinding flash of lightning, Red's heart quickened and her thoughts turned to her deeply ill father. Her decision was swift, and she veered off the road, disappearing into the eerie embrace of the ancient trees. She hoped to find some solace from the relentless rain and wind within the gnarled branches of the forest. Unbeknownst to her, as she ventured deeper into the heart of the forbidden forest, the darkness seemed to intensify, and the tales of malevolent forces took on a tangible presence. Whispering winds carried eerie secrets, and gnarled branches seemed to reach out, casting grotesque shadows. Unseen eyes watched her, and the storm outside was just the beginning of a far more sinister tempest. Red's journey into the forbidden forest would soon reveal a world far removed from the simplicity of village life. Mystery, darkness, and the unknown lay ahead, and the line between reality and nightmare would blur. With her world transformed into a realm of magical intrigue and perilous adventures, she would find herself confronting the chilling tales that had held the villagers in thrall for generations. As Red continued her journey through the dense woods, she couldn't help but feel that she was being guided by a force she couldn't comprehend. Her destiny was entwined with the heart of the forbidden forest, and her tale was just beginning. And all the while, the villagers' fears resonated in her ears. The fear of the very forest she sought refuge in, for within its depths, people had been known to venture, only to disappear forever, swallowed by the darkness and secrets that it concealed. Deep within the heart of the forbidden forest, obscured by crooked trees and a sinister aura, lay an abandoned cottage with a history steeped in darkness. This cottage once belonged to a nun named Yuda, who lived in the early 1600s. Yuda's past was a tale whispered with trepidation, for it was said that she had been cast out of her monastery under the gravest of accusations, witchcraft. During her time there, the children under her care had fallen gravely ill, and many had met untimely ends. Superstitious murmurs and fearful glances had sealed her fate. Driven from the town by the wrath of angry locals who sought to deliver their own brand of justice, Yuda had barely escaped with her life. She had fled into the depths of the forbidding forest, her every step taking her further from civilization. In this forgotten corner of the world, she had stumbled upon an abandoned cottage, shrouded in shadows and overgrown with twisted vines. The rumors whispered that she had made a dark pact with the devil himself, trading her soul for the company of children so she would never be alone again. No one had laid eyes on Yuda since that day. Yet the villagers spoke of strange sightings in the forbidden forest. The most unsettling were the reports of two black-eyed children, a young boy and a girl. These spectral figures only manifested at the edge of one's peripheral vision, and as you ventured deeper into the forest, the shadows grew thicker and more oppressive, regardless of the time of day or season. For those who dared to press further into the heart of the forest, a grim reality became apparent. The woods seemed to shift and twist, creating an inescapable labyrinth that ensnared unwary travelers. It was as if the forest itself resisted any attempt to escape its grasp, leading wanderers in endless, disorienting circles. It was in the midst of this chilling forest that the black-eyed children made their appearance. They would materialize, as if out of thin air, and beckon with ghostly gestures. Those who succumbed to their eerie allure were led, unwittingly, to Yuda's accursed cottage. Once within its decrepit walls, they would vanish, never to be seen again. Yuda, it seemed, had found a way to exact her revenge on the villagers who had nearly killed her and abandoned her in the depths of the forest. Her presence lingered like an ever-present specter, and the tale of the black-eyed children had ensured that no one ventured into the forbidden forest for almost 3 decades. People had learned to steer clear, respecting the sinister secrets that it concealed. But now, in the darkest of storms, Red had entered the forest. Unbeknownst to her, the sinister history of the forbidden forest would soon weave itself into the fabric of her own story, leading her down a path that few had dared to tread, and revealing secrets darker than the storm that raged above. As the forbidden forest welcomed her into its ominous embrace, Red's life was irrevocably entwined with the legacy of Yuda and the ominous allure of the black-eyed children. Her journey had only just begun, and the chilling secrets of the forest awaited her with open arms. The wind moaned through the twisted branches of the forbidden forest, a sound that carried a whisper of ancient secrets and hidden malevolence. Red clutched her lantern, its feeble glow offering meager comfort against the suffocating darkness that surrounded her. The forest seemed to swallow her every step, the thick canopy above eclipsing the moon and stars, rendering the night eerily opaque. Red's senses heightened with every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs beneath her boots. Each step felt like an echo in a haunted chamber, bouncing off unseen walls. The air, thick with an otherworldly presence, clung to her skin like a phantom touch, sending shivers down her spine. As she ventured further into the heart of the forest, the oppressive silence became more pronounced. No nocturnal creatures dared to break the stillness. Even the wind, once a mournful melody, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. The only sound that persisted was Red's own erratic heartbeat, a rhythmic drumming that underscored her growing unease. Red's breath quickened as she navigated the winding paths, the twisted trees forming grotesque shapes that seemed to whisper ancient incantations. The air grew colder, the fog of her breath mingling with the spectral mists that clung to the forest floor. A pervasive scent of decay and dampness hung in the air, suffocating her senses. It was then, in the midst of her disquiet, that Red caught a fleeting glimpse, a flicker of movement at the periphery of her vision. Black-eyed children, their spectral forms barely discernible, danced at the edge of the shadows. Their eyes, pools of abyssal darkness, held an eerie allure that both frightened and intrigued Red. She hesitated, a primal fear gripping her heart. Should she retreat from these ethereal manifestations, or follow their elusive dance further into the depths of the forest? The shadows seemed to beckon her forward, a silent promise of revelations veiled in darkness. Red, unable to resist the unsettling allure of the black-eyed children, trailed after them through the labyrinthine paths. Each step resonated with a sense of foreboding, the tangled undergrowth clawing at her ankles like skeletal fingers reaching from the underworld. As the dance of the black-eyed children continued, Red found herself in a clearing, an island of twisted serenity amidst the oppressive woods. The air here hung heavy with an otherworldly stillness, broken only by the distant howls of unseen creatures. In the center of the clearing stood the cabin, the culmination of Red's journey into the heart of darkness. Its time-worn walls seemed to groan under the weight of forgotten sins, the windows mere hollow eyes that stared into the abyss. The door, slightly ajar, creaked as if inviting her to step into the abyss within. Red approached cautiously, her lantern casting long, distorted shadows that danced across the decrepit facade. The air grew colder, and the sense of malevolence intensified with every creaking floorboard beneath her boots. The black-eyed children, their forms now fully visible, stood at the threshold of the cabin, their eyes pools of infinite darkness fixated on Red as they gestured for her to enter. A twisted blend of fear and fascination gripped her, pushing her to the brink of a decision that could unravel the very fabric of her existence. With a breath that trembled in the frigid air, Red stepped into the cabin, the door groaning shut behind her like the final gasp of a dying soul. The oppressive silence wrapped around her, the walls seemingly alive with the whispered secrets of centuries past. As Red ventured further into the heart of the sinister cabin, the air thickened with the weight of her own trepidation. The shadows, cast by the feeble light of her lantern, danced with malevolent glee. The wooden floor groaned beneath her weight, each footfall echoing in the hallowed halls of a place where the living dared not tread. Little did Red know, within the bowels of the cabin, the threads of her fate were being woven into the tapestry of ancient malevolence that sought release. The next step she took within those cursed walls would determine whether she became a vessel for the demonic forces that lingered in the shadows, or the harbinger of a salvation long denied. The cabin, a nexus of sinister convergence, awaited the unfolding of a destiny that transcended the boundaries of mortal understanding. The room within the forsaken cabin plunged into an unfathomable darkness, suffocating Red with an oppressive weight. The air turned frigid, chilling her to the bone. A malevolent presence seeped through the cracks in the walls, coiling around her like serpentine tendrils. In the shadows, the ominous yellow eyes glowed brighter, piercing through the obsidian gloom. Their gaze held Gosia captive, sending ripples of terror cascading down her spine. As she tried to move, an invisible force held her in place, rendering her helpless against the impending horror. From the abyss emerged Yuda, her visage contorted into a grotesque mask of torment and wrath. The very essence of terror took form in Yuda's spectral figure. Eyes sunken into shadowed sockets, a visage twisted by centuries of anguish, and a voice that resonated like a chorus of tortured souls. "Gosia!" Yuda's voice reverberated through the walls, a discordant symphony of despair. "You bear the mark of our kin, a legacy steeped in agony, and the malevolence that festers within our blood." Reality warped and twisted at Yuda's whim. Gosia found herself ensnared in a nightmarish dreamscape, a realm where time, space, and terror coalesced in an unholy fusion. Yuda's tale unfolded like a haunting dirge, weaving a harrowing narrative of a forbidden love, a stolen child, and a damning pact. Gosia witnessed the anguished cries of a mother torn from her newborn, the specter of a priest whose love was a forbidden sin, and the dark ritual that bound Yuda's fate to the very essence of demonic despair. The cabin convulsed with echoes of the past, each scream, each lament, a symphony of eternal suffering. Yuda's agony, intertwined with Gosia's own bloodline, pulsed through the walls, a relentless reminder of the cursed legacy they both bore. In the crescendo of this demonic theater, just as terror threatened to consume Gosia whole, Yuda gestured toward a spectral mirror, a twisted relic hidden within the depths of the cabin. It shimmered with an otherworldly aura, a gateway to revelations that defied comprehension. Within the mirror's reflection, Gosia beheld a distorted visage, a spectral child, her eyes ablaze with the same haunting glow that permeated the room. Shock pierced through her terror as she recognized the child's likeness. A reflection of herself, a manifestation of the kinship Yuda spoke of. The truth, a revelation veiled in the macabre, struck like a lightning bolt in the dark recesses of Gosia's mind. Her own existence, entwined with the malevolence of centuries past, unraveled the fabric of her reality, leaving her teetering on the precipice of revelation and abyssal terror. In the climactic moment of horror, Yuda's voice pierced the darkness once more, revealing a cryptic prophecy that spoke of Gosia's pivotal role in breaking the cursed cycle. Gosia, suspended between the horrors of truth and the demonic forces that besieged her, faced an epiphany that threatened to reshape her understanding of everything she knew. The mirror's ominous reflection held the key to unlocking a destiny that transcended time, and Yuda's cryptic prophecy echoed like a sinister prelude to an ominous fate. The portal creaked open, a gateway between the alternate universe and the haunted reality of the Forbidden Forest. Yuda, her spectral form shrouded in ethereal wisps, gestured for Red to step through. Uncertainty hung in the air as Red hesitated, her eyes flickering between the ominous portal and Yuda's haunting silhouette. "It's crucial that you witness what lies beyond," Yuda's voice echoed, a melody of dissonance that compelled Red to take the next step. With a deep breath, Red crossed the threshold into the shifting currents of the portal. As reality rippled around her, colors bled into one another, and the fabric of existence unraveled. The sensation was disorienting, akin to being caught in a tempest of cosmic forces. When the swirling chaos settled, Red found herself standing in a familiar clearing, the oppressive presence of the cabin looming in the background. A figure lay motionless on the ground, shrouded in the dim twilight. Dread slithered down Red's spine as she approached, the hairs on her nape standing at attention. The air grew thick, with an ominous silence that spoke of unspeakable horrors. With each step closer, the tableau revealed itself in agonizing increments. The details unfolded like a grotesque tapestry, peeling back layers of terror with each heartbeat. A form lay sprawled, inert and hauntingly familiar. Panic clawed at Red's chest as she recognized the lifeless figure. It was her own body. Shock jolted through her, freezing her in the ghastly reality. Yuda's spectral presence hovered nearby, her voice a chilling whisper that seeped into Red's consciousness. The moment you ventured deeper into the forest, the children, they were already leeching your essence. You walked as a hollow vessel, a shell, animated by the malevolence that corrupts these woods. The weight of the revelation pressed upon Red like a vice, a realization that shattered the fragile facade of normalcy. She stared at her own lifeless form, a horrifying monument to her own demise. In the distance, the shadows danced, the black-eyed children, spectral and foreboding, lingering as harbingers of Dre. The air itself seemed to mourn, carrying whispers of a life extinguished, unnoticed. Yuda's gaze bore into Red's soul, a silent witness to the unraveling of destinies. The forest, the cabin, the alternate reality, each layer peeled back to reveal the horrors within. Red teetered on the precipice, caught between the living and the malevolent forces that sought to consume her. In this moment of gut-wrenching revelation, the trajectory of her fate shifted, each heartbeat now a step towards a destiny entwined with the dark heart of the Forbidden Forest. In the heart of the enigmatic cabin, where the shadows wove tales of forgotten sorrows, Yuda and Red found themselves standing at the pivotal intersection of destiny. Yuda, her ethereal form hovering like a guardian between realms, revealed the choices veiled within the fabric of fate. "Dear one caught in the in-between," Yuda spoke, her voice a soft echo that resonated through the chamber. "You have entered the liminal space, where the boundaries of life and death meld, and time moves to a different rhythm." As the air shimmered with spectral energy, Yuda presented 3 glasses, each filled with a luminescent liquid pulsating with an otherworldly glow. 3 destinies entwined within these elixirs of the in-between, Yuda explained, her eyes reflecting the depth of ancient knowledge. The red elixir, a taste of eternity. It binds you to the in-between, where time stretches and bends according to your will. You'll wander the alternate reality, a specter without mortal ties charting your own course to the afterlife. Her translucent hand gestured toward the first glass, its contents gleaming like the soft hues of twilight. The blue elixir, a dance with the shadows of time. Sip, and you shall return to the morning when the sun first kissed the world awake. However, beware, for the swamp demon yearns for your soul. It will shadow your every step, hungry to reclaim what it once lost. But with this choice, you'll wield the power of a witch, a guardian of the twilight realms. The second glass, an ethereal cascade of radiant blue, awaited Red's decision. The green elixir, a plunge into the river of history. Partake and you'll be transported back to the 1600s, to the genesis of my tale. There, you stand at the brink of the past, with the opportunity to sever the ties that bind me and the priest. A chance to release the captive souls, to rewrite the echoes of despair. The third glass, a shimmering symphony of verdant light, promised a temporal journey. Red's gaze shifted between the 3 choices, each elixir holding profound consequences. The in-between held its breath, as if time itself hung in suspended anticipation. Yuda's eyes, ancient orbs brimming with wisdom, locked onto Red. "Choose, dear one, for destiny eagerly awaits your declaration." The in-between listens, and your choice shall resonate through the realms of the living and the departed. In that intimate moment, her eyes, reflecting the hues of the elixirs, held a complex mixture of wonder and uncertainty. As I find myself here, in the midst of the in-between, my thoughts scattered by the unfolding truths, I can't help but ask, if you were in my shoes, faced with the vast array of choices and the tangled web of consequences, which elixir would you choose? And that wraps it up for now. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Mr. Novella on YouTube and follow Mr. Novella on Spotify to ensure you never miss a new episode. Whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, thank you for listening until the end. Till we meet next time, cheerio.